Hello, everybody. It's 1 p.m. Central Daylight Time, and I'm here, and so are a whole bunch of you. Um, doesn't show you in that it's seeing you yet, but I know there's a bunch of you in the chat. Um, I thought I'd start out with a little bit of thinking, and we've got three really good questions, so I'll get to those too. But today, for our guidance, since it's kind of warming up, I know I spoke with Scott on Sunday and he said it was going to be in the 60s this week in Wisconsin. So that's really lovely. And so for April, I'm going to take from Dorothy McLean, who is a lady who was at the Findhorn Foundation. And I'll do another show on them if you don't know who they are. But it's a group of people that formed in desperation in the late 60s in England, started a garden on a piece of land that wasn't supposed to be good for growing anything. And they now are an international, uh, part of the international group of people that teach you how to grow plants and create a thriving community on marginal land. It's called the Findhorn Foundation because they speak to the fairies and the elementals. And they're going to, so anyway, she was one of the women that used to stand at the garden when they were starting it and plant it according to what um, their the fairies and the elementals up there and way up in northern Scotland, what they told them to do. So the weekly guidance from Dorothy has to do with springs. The forces of nature are something to be felt into, to be reached out to. One of the jobs for you is to sense the nature's forces, such as the wind, to perceive the essence and purpose for me. That's a capital M-E. And to be positive and harmonize with your very essence. It will not be as difficult as you immediately imagine because being because the being forces will be glad to be there to help you with friendly power. all forces all forces are to be felt into, even the sun, the moon, the sea, the trees, the very grass. All are a part of my life. We are all of one life. And I'm going to talk about yeah, Findhorn Eco Village. I'm going to talk about a lady who's written a book about trees because Hogarth, my tree, is back and alive. And I'm going to go out and spend some time with him this afternoon because it's in the low 70s here. And I think my allergies finally gone away. Yay! Hi, Celtic Seer. Yeah, Sun's conjunct Jupiter. Good day to start something new. So we're going to look at these questions that I got. And I'm going to try to use different sorts of things to read with, not just cards, not just the garden. But the first one is from Ronnie Y. Finance has been difficult over my lifetime. Lately, I've been hearing about a financial abundance coming my way. Yes, everybody in the room, send love and light to her to connect her to her financial abundance. It's been hard to pinpoint. Can you tell me? And that's what the garden's good for, because the garden can tell time. Now, I'm going to get rid of the comment because it's hiding part of the garden. To explain the garden to you a little bit, if you haven't been through this drill before, the stones I throw are body, mind, spirit, grounding, or grounding and clarity. And when you throw it in the garden, this is when you set the garden up, you always find out where's the north. Air on the garden always faces north. So if you were watch different people play with the garden, their air would be in different places. But this space, the one opposite you, regardless of where that mark is, this is winter, spring, summer, fall. So we're going to look at Ronnie Y and her, see if we can pick out a time, and I'll interpret it for her. This is about Ronnie Wise and her money that's heading in her direction. Spring and summer. You're going to be coming to terms with it in the fall. But you have, this is winter, spring. We're in spring right now, and then summer. So I've got Mid to late spring and early summer are when the stones show that your money should be showing up. But we're going to look at it with an interpretation. Okay, I'm going to go out because your mind is in your throat chakra. And when the mind shows up in the throat, it's that heart is going to be opened up by this expression when this money comes through. You're going to be really feeling it. And you've got in air, you've got your clarity. Be sure your thoughts are clear about this money coming in. Don't keep saying, when's it going to get here? Think of it as here. Think of it as here with you right now. When you think about it, this money's here. It's where I can touch it, where I can feel it, because that'll make it easier for the money to come in. Otherwise, you might energetically be pushing it away. And your spirit says your thoughts are all important. So that's when I read your question earlier this morning, I thought she needs to quit saying it's coming sometime. She needs to think about it as being here. That's part of the stuff I've learned from listening to people talk about manifesting. And you have your grounding, and it's going to be more money than you think because more is going to be brought forward. Now, your body is in fire with regards to this issue. And is this possibly an inheritance or something like that? Because it's something that's coming from your past or some part of your past. But when you get it this time, Ronnie, and I know you said you've had difficulties over your lifetime. Think about when you got the money and held it securely, because that's what you need to do now. To add a little bit more to Ronnie's reading, I pulled a bunch of cards so I could discuss what different decks are like in case I ran out of stuff to talk about. You might think that's hard, but it's not hard to find it, to run out of things to talk about. So we're going to pull a pendulum for you. I'm going to use this one. Okay. Was the reading I did correct for Ronnie? Yep. 100%. Right there, right up the yes. So you're fine. You're good to go. Don't worry about it. Think about it. Start almost picture it in your bank account right now or wherever you keep your money. I don't know, but it just shows up when it shows up. I had an old settlement on someone who'd ripped me off, and I thought I'd never see the money. And lo and behold, 2 months ago, I opened up a check for $3,000. It was payment for that. Okay. P. Sylvan Butterfly. I think the P is her real first name, but the Sylvan Butterfly, not so sure. Could be. I'm considering adopted bonded pair of 13-year-old Chihuahua, Sheba and Bandit, from a local shelter, but wondering if it's a wise decision for me. And, well, we're going to use cards. And I have a new deck. They're going to look like the same deck to you, but believe me, you can wear decks out. And my cards wouldn't shuffle anymore. And I noticed it on Sunday when I was working with Scott on that show on Spiritual Essence. And they just wouldn't shuffle. I mean, they were just miserable. They were sticking together like a lump. And when that happens, it's time to change decks. And I read this deck most commonly. So we're going to see about you and your Chihuahuas. And I'll read you some of the further questions that she posted on this. I can only fit so many characters in a question, so we're going to see. So you get the privilege, Sylvan Butterfly, of being the first person that gets read with this deck. Now, you probably say, what do you do with your old decks? Well, what I'm going to do with this one is I put the old deck in the new box, and I leave the instructions and everything in, and I've marked them as today's date, 4/11/23, and I'm probably going to give them away, and I'm not sure exactly how yet. And speaking of, well, we'll do doggies first, and then we're going to speak about giving away, because the lady who won the grid has one more day to get a hold of me, and then I'm going to open up that list of people who wanted the free grid. And you guys, you have to get back to me within a given period of time, because otherwise, I actually have had gifts that no one ever claimed. And so if the people who are in the free grid giveaway, you're back in, unless you're Jennifer W is the person. If Jennifer's listening, came off a show on this day, this time. So Jennifer W, if you want that grid, you know how to reach me. I sent it back to you. You can get me through my email, which is attached to this also. Okay. The reason she's unsure about the decision is because she has to leave them home alone. Now, these are two bonded chihuahuas, they can't be separated. Um, she has to leave them alone 2 days a week when she works 12-hour shifts. And how the remaining dog would do when one passed. So I'm going to ask two different questions. Her last beloved baby passed 7 years ago, and she's been really looking for something. She thinks her previous dog, we got three questions. Should you adopt these little babies? I think your questions are valid. We're going to answer them, because right now it shows it's a control issue, and that may be about you having to leave them alone for 12 hours at a time. These poor babies have been through it, but they're ready to calm down. They just never really had a stable home. And how if you do adopt them, how will they adjust to being left alone? I think you're wise to look at that. And we're going to ask the third question is, did your dog, your former dog, lead you to these dogs? I think he did. If it's a he, I think it's a he in the note. He did. And he thinks if you work with them a little bit that you can make it all right. But if you just bring them home and just kind of think this is all going to be wonderful, it's not. It's going to take some work. But they do need a good home. About them being left home alone, I think these two are the key cards to leaving them home alone. You're going to have to make sure they have a safe space. And if you're one of those people who think you shouldn't kennel dogs, you're probably wrong, because a small dog like a Chihuahua feels terrified in a big new space. Your dog did lead you to them. It's just you have rights to have reservations, and you need to make sure you have the strength and the time at this time to bring them home. There's really good things. It will help you. Um, it's a choice you've wanted to make for a while. You really can build and bond with these two little critters, but they've been through a lot, and that makes it more difficult. So that's my first reading, and I don't think it's the answer you wanted, but realistically, it says at the end you can make a home with them, but you have to understand that they have strengths and their own moods. So let's see. We'll pull out the dowsing garden one more time. Okay. This time we're going to ask, okay. Just as a flat yes, no, without all the other trims on it, would it be a good idea to adopt the Chihuahuas? And it came out no on the grid too. I think your dog may have led you to them so that you consider maybe that's what he was doing. And I'm going to, okay. Did he lead her to consider this so she could go find the right dog? You had to go through the consideration of these two to get a realistic view of your life. Yes. So I think these two were a way to kind of consider what sort of a dog you could bring in to your life. It's not saying don't do it, but sheep and bandit deserve a home. I think your 12-hour shifts may be the breaking point for them. Okay. Next question. Okay. We're going to use the boy. This, according to Miriam B., she has two sons and their families. The sons are doing pretty well, but the daughter-in-laws don't like each other. Um, well, it's two sons, so I'm going to lay 5 cards on daughter-in-law 1 and see kind of what's going on there. And a row on daughter-in-law 2. And then I'm going to lay a row of cards on you, Miriam, and see what you can do. I know that kind of makes Thanksgiving and Christmas or whatever you celebrate difficult. Okay. Daughter-in-law 1. She's gone through a lot of changes in her life. She likes to overspend. She's not a bad person, but she's going through some real changes in her life. Uh, and it's not against your son or anything. I don't know what age she is, but she's just coming to a new sense of who she is. She's always been a very powerful, masterful person who kind of ran the show. And I think when she first married your son, she sort of sat it out and just kind of thought, well, for the good of the family, I'll do this. Well, she's going through a change. She's coming out a new person soon. And the Ace of Pentacles says, to some extent, it's going to make things a little bit harder. Let's see about daughter-in-law 2. Well, daughter-in-law 2 is very psychic, but she turns it off. She denies kind of her spiritual self. She came from a family that had a lot of addiction problems and things, so security is really important for her. And she doesn't really trust people. That comes from that upbringing. But she's working on it too. She's trying to put the pieces together because she really does want to try and get along. So let's see. How does this all in the end affect Miriam? It's one of your sons. This other son. You just don't want to be around the fighting. And these are your 2 sons. I think this is the older one. He's more of the entrepreneur and he's more of the pusher of things. The younger son's much more likely just to go along to get along. And he's doing okay. You just don't want to be in the middle of the fights, but it makes you seem extremely uncomfortable. This card is the card that's the most important for you to look at. It's the Ace of Pentacles upside down. If it was right side up, it'd say there's a whole lot you could do to change this. There isn't. I think you need to let them work it out. Somehow or another, they're coming to, this one's especially the first wife's coming through a lot of changes. Okay, I know what I'm going to do. Okay, how do we see these? And by the way, can't your son say something about we can all get along? I mean, they're here, they're present in the reading, and they're what you're most worried about losing, not necessarily the daughter-in-laws. Okay, how will Miriam B feel in a year? Oh, you're so past it, and you're just not going to let it ruin your family life. You're moving on. You're not going to run away from it and try to avoid it and have the problems come up from that. And you're going to be moving in a new direction to do the things that you think are right. And I would tend to agree with that, Miriam. So sorry, that ended up being one of those readings that you pull out every card in the deck and you think, well, of course you're going to get an answer. But I think the biggest one is the other than the 8 that you can't do anything about it, is the first wife is really trying to make some changes. So I hope that answers your question. And now I got to go back in the chat and see. Oh, 96 of you are in here now. Good. Okay. Check that one. I'm looking quickly. Oh, good. Okay. The grid's been won. Jennifer W. just realized she won the grid. So she's going to get the grid. I just, I like to give it to the first person that's the one that they have a little function you can use in StreamYard to look through comments and award things. So yay, everybody clap for Jennifer W. Oh, Miriam, and that's the problem but I think they're changing more into a line where everybody's going to get along. I think it looks good. At least for you're fine about it. they're the ones that have to change. They're the one that have to transform. Hi, Lise. Good afternoon, Dozen Cat. She's got to go run. I don't know. I think it's clearing up where she is. It's not as cold as it was. Okay. Get rid of Miriam's comment. Tide. Okay, I'm going to go up the comments and see. That's a good one. I'm just looking quickly. Okay. Thank you, Sharon Sipe. She's doing all my marketing for me. Okay. Okay, Dozen Cats. I hope you haven't run too far. I thought you said April 20th, not 19th. Get a hold of me, girl, or I'll text you after that. Sorry, Celtic Seer. She showed up today. I'll mark this. Yeah, there is a whole lot to saying I have the money now, it's around me, or just ignoring it altogether, because if you worry about or put a date on it, or I'm not sure when it's coming, it'll make sure you don't know when it's coming. So let's see. Never. Okay. Oh, Candy Mullen says she's sitting on her porch in the sun in Upper Pennsylvania. Good. Get out there and enjoy the sunlight while we have it. Because, okay. Here's the first question I got. Nivra, if you can write it in the comments again, I'll be glad to look at it. Now, this is her question. Okay, let's see what's going on around. We'll do it in the garden. What's going on around Reba K for the rest of April? Ooh, okay. Now, I've taken the time off this. This is the rest of April, what I'm reading, or what's happening around her for the rest of April. And we're going to start with your body, because it's in a great place. It's in the sacral chakra, and it's creativity. Energy is your energy. You're going to feel really free this month. This is from here. I'm seeing this on the garden. You're going to feel a lot of freedom, a lot of new creativities coming up. You actually feel like you have more energy. I don't know if you had a bad cold this winter or what, but you kind of felt held back. And it says, look to previous forms that have served you. So I think you're going back to creating in a way you really, really like to. And your spirit's right in the middle of the heart chakra. This one right here. And when spirits making your heart come alive, this is just a lovely reading. You also have your clarity in your third eye. And when your clarity's in your third eye, it's saying you've gotten a whole lot of new ideas that have been pouring in, and that's all part of this plan. And you're in a little teeny bit into present, and it's coming at you from a variety of paths, so you're having to pick which one to choose. Your outer things are great. Your mind is holding you back a little bit. Don't be tied to false energies of the past. Just because you tried this once before and it didn't quite work out, this time it has every chance of working out, because the other stones are saying yes. And they are changing for the better. This stone, your grounding stone, it's a pyrite. Sitting in water means grounding changes that you're having right now are setting into long-term patterns. So when I put all those stones together, you've got a lot of creative input coming in, and it's something you've done in the past and you want to try doing it again. It's kind of like me in watercolor. I really did a lot of watercoloring in December, and I have them around and I pull them out every once in a while. And it's a great sense of freedom, and it's something I hadn't done since I was like 11 or 12 years old. So Your spirit just showed up and said, "Let's do this, Reba K." And these two stones are saying, just because you tried it before and it didn't work out exactly the way you wanted, go with it now and see where it goes. We are in a different energetic time change, so you can do better. You can do things you didn't think you could do, and you're changing yourself into some long-term patterns, and that's just wonderful. That means you're really going to get some positive changes. Okay. Now I'm going down to find the other questions. Okay. Nivra, if you put emojis with your question, go type it again without the emojis. I found out from StreamYard, for some reason, certain emojis eat the words. And so people put something and put in a lot of cute little things and they disappear. Celtic Seer, that happened to her. Okay. No, you didn't. I'm trying to tell you, just type it in again now and we can go with it. Okay. Oh, okay. Trying to figure this question. If you're still, my question is, I'm mostly over my allergies. Okay, I'm going to use the Dowsing Garden, and I'm going to use the. I have three new pendulums I'm working with now, and this one's a crystal. And I'm going to ask, just this is a yes no. Do you see a way for my mom and I to get through our grief together? Okay, about it cut right here. This is no, this is yes. This is about 75% of the time, but there's just something about when the two of you are together. What I was seeing is, and I don't know which one of you does it, and it may just be the way you learn to talk to each other. You have a way of knowing how to push buttons. So let's see, am I seeing this correctly? Am I seeing button pushing going on here? Yeah, it's button pushing. I'm going to lay 5 cards, 5 for you, 5 for your mom, and see if I can see a way for you to resolve this so that you can be with each other 100%. Now, it may be you never can, hello world. I could never be 100% with my mother. And it wasn't her and it wasn't me. It's just who both of us were. We were one of those cases of people who were too much alike. First line is going to be hello world. First line of 5, and the second line is going to be mom. Okay. It's hello world. Okay. What I see is that you had more gumption and get up and go than your mother, but somehow or another she held you back. So there's some other crap going on here. You've had a turn for the worse, but I see the two of you. The outcome card is the most important in this, and it's the two of you really talking and getting together. Let's see about mom. Mom had a much easier early life than you did, and she's really tight with money. Your mom likes to fight. That's the problem. She likes to pull out the sword at the right time. You two haven't reconciled yourself enough individually with whatever you're grieving about. But your mom's going to, these two cards are important. This is in a traditional deck, this is the card where the couple's walking past the church and feeling frozen out. The way this reads in this deck is if it's right side up, it's you don't have the people you need, you can't make it work. You're kind of on your own, you're blindfolded, and you're cut off from making positive change. When it's reversed, it means you're going to meet the people you need to meet. Now, for both you and your mother, that's in the future, and your mother's of two minds about it. So maybe she'll lay off pulling out every stop to kind of rankle your nerves. I'm trying to figure out a healing card. I'm going to use my language of flowers cards because they're sitting here. And we're going to see if it gives you a message for dealing with this, because I see it's causing you a lot. It's causing you a lot more pain than it's causing her. But that may have been a lifelong pattern. Hello, world. I'm not sure. Okay, we're going to pull out a flower. Oh, that's kind of good for this. The flower is called Heartsease, compassion. Tread a little more tenderly. It's a kind of a violet. It's a really pretty flower. I'm trying to turn it. I had the lighting changed in my office. I replaced some bulbs. They're a little bit bright. But what this card says to you is to use compassion. Tread a little more tenderly. And I think that's kind of that's a message for both of you. And I hope that helps. Okay. Okay, I had some questions on here and I marked them. I'll find them. I'm getting there. Okay, Vernie. Oh, okay, spirit animal. I actually have that deck out. So, and we have different spirit animals for different reasons. I'm going to click back to me. Okay. Let me use the wild elementals, which is all kind of critters and things. It's a fun deck. I found it to be incredibly accurate in the times I've used it. It has everything from birds, different kinds of birds, rose runner, bats, spiders, snakes, all kinds of things. So we'll see. What's Vernie's main spirit animal? I'm going to try to get it to be your main spirit animal, because my main spirit animal and the one I've had all my life is the raven. But for crystal directions, it's the dragonfly. So it changes. Mine all have wings and fly. Let's see. Wolf. You got the wolf, and I'll read you about the wolf because their explanations are very good. They're very interesting drawings, and a lot of times they don't end up being at all the description you would expect. I think I pulled this just the other day. I think it's for being in these times. That's what I pulled it at the end of Scott's show. Ah, yes. The wolf. Grounding. Facing the end of a cycle with dignity and courage, death and rebirth, spiritual teachings, guidance in dreams and meditations, instinct linked with intelligence, social and familial values, outwitting your enemies, protection of yourself and your family. When the wolf appears, he's reminding you that you have a wild spirit, even though you may clothe it with civility. The wolf is a social creature living within the pack that has a definite social hierarchy. There's always a balance between the members. The wolf is bringing you the message to find the balance between you, your needs, and the pack's needs, and the needs of the broader community. Always pay attention to your dreams and your higher self to get your attention. He's a very spiritual animal. He functions for the group and he functions with a group. You probably need a group of people to work with to feel happier, Vernie. But that's a great spirit animal to have. Really strong one. Okay. Okay. Let's see. I think this is going to be a dowsing question. So we're going to move. And here. Since it's an investment one, I'm going to use the pendulum that is made out of metal because I find that works better for things like this kind of really practical question. Okay. Should Karen get solar installed with quality first? Yeah, it's the way it wound down. I think it's going to take a little longer than you think, but there's nothing. It was a clear swing to yes for that company. Okay, let's see. Hide. Yeah, Miriam, you got two sons that need to get in the mix about if there's problems or to get things just arranged. There may not be problems. They're just not communicating. Oh dear. Here's someone I never did get along with my sister-in-law because she didn't like anyone taking brother's attention off of her. Sadly, she has serious mental illnesses. Yeah, that's kind of hard one to fight. Hi, Cold Toes. Okay, I'm looking. Nivra, I'm still looking for your question. Michelle, I owe you an apology because I didn't come on Friday night, but I didn't come because I was working with a distance healer healing a friend of mine who had gotten COVID and it affected his heart. So we were doing heart chakra work, and I'm really sorry, but that I did not anticipate that showing up Friday night. Okay. Okay. I'm going to use Thousand Chart for that. I'm going to put him over here. I'm going to throw into the garden, Debbie, for your son to see where he's going. Okay. Well, he's got his mind in the tree of life, which is really good. Yeah, he's working on a lot of real core issues right now. This is the fire, water, air, and earth. And when stones fall a lot in that, we're really at the core of who we are. And that's why he's hurting so much. And he has his body, so it's in all four: earth, fire, water, air, and earth. And the most important one for him to focus on is from earth. Physical changes are coming. Changes are coming into his world. It will make things better. But he's so caught up in what could have been with her. And in that, he's got his clarity. Has he? I don't know if he's gone through a lot of breakups, but he needs to go through this so he can understand that it's not the other person that makes the difference. It's him. And he needs to get that straight in his own head. He's got his spirit between earth where things are emerging. He's transforming right now and it's not quite finished. And thoughts, the more he sits around and thinks in his head, the more he makes it bad. But he does have this anchor. He had spirit more in earth. So changes are coming for him. And his values are near. He needs to get out of his head. He needs to find someone to talk to. He needs to, and I know trying to get an introvert to talk to anybody. I was married to one. I used to come in and say, "Hi, my name's Nancy. I think we've met." Um, and actually, he knew everything that's going on around him. It's just you couldn't get that out of him all the time. But the best stone in here is his mind is in the crown chakra, and he's about to position his mind to bring about change. So I think some of these patterns are going to kick off, and he is going to begin to feel better. Um, and this whole breakup really uh, has been. I know it's horrible when he's going through it, but it's given him a chance to relook at himself. And I think he's going to come out of it. And I would say you're going to see improvement spring, some in summer, but mostly in the fall. He's starting really to come out of it because it's up here. That was late winter. But if I put this into the timing mode, spring's going to get a lot more clarity. His spiritual part, this will kind of move over here. This will wash to here so that it washes it away. And at the center, he's trying to figure out who he is. So he's going to be okay. Okay. Michelle wants a reading from the garden. Okay. Okay. Let's go see if Michelle. What's going on around Michelle's Shining Light Tarot? I'm going to move him back here. You got some interesting stones. You got some out on the outer edge too. Usually stones tend to fall towards the middle because mostly we're working with issues in that part of our life. But we're going to see what the solar plexus. And it's your clarity. You're finding more than one way to express your power right now to move forward, and that's really important because for some reason you decided to bury yourself in your past, and you're learning how to deal with your past, embodying it, moving on. Your mind is both in the path forward and false. Oops. Your mind at times misleads you, and you're aware of that, though. You're trying to fix it because you know your path forward is you have to watch for the signs. But sometimes you see the signs and then you say, no, that's not right. When you see the signs, look at the signs and evaluate them, but don't always think they're wrong. They're not. Your spirit's in the present, and that's really good. Your spiritual changes are happening for you right now. And then I'm going to go to this stone up here, which is your values, and that's in go for it and true. And when grounding shows up and go for it, it says all is aligned with your values right now. And true, it says you can see clearly. So your one bugaboo is you question when you see a good sign, instead of saying, oh, that's a great sign, just move on. You go, when's the next shoe going to drop? Quit backward thinking that way. And that comes from how you were raised and how you were taught to think, but you're growing out of that. All these stones are saying you're growing out of that. So you're moving right along, girl. Okay. Gotta figure out. One point in my life, I was going to just take a regular deck of tarot cards and break them into body functions and do healing readings. And I could never get that sucker to work for me. But we're going to see. Let's see, we're going to do it with the dowsing garden, and it's health and personal insight. So, okay. Is Lise health going to show improvement? Yes, okay. Is she going to get rid of her major digestive problems? Digestion, not so much. Okay. Is she going to be able to avoid the bone problems? Yes. Your bone health's going to get better before your digestive problems. Okay, let's see. Is Lise, is she getting the right medical help to solving her problems? Yes. Is she following the right regimen to improve her health? Nah. One of your problems, Lise, is you sort of get a hold of your digestive problems and then your bone shows up and then you fix your bones and it triggers off your digestive. You haven't found the right balance in her life. Let's see. Okay. Will Lise come across a new way to deal with this in the next period of time? Okay. Okay, I'm going to see, you're going to find a new program. We're going to add something that's going to help this. Okay. We're going to use this ring as weeks. Okay. How many weeks before Lise finds her answer? It's going to be 6 weeks to 9 weeks. So that's 2 to 3 months. You're going to find you're going to get a big answer. Something's going to come to light that's going to really help you with this. And I hope that helps. But that's the problem. It's like you get on a diet to fix one thing and the stuff that fixes the other thing triggers something off. Okay. Okay, we've already read that one. Oops. Oh, okay. Here's one. Zanivra, will alternate health treatments I'm getting and changes in diet heal the health challenges I've been experiencing for several years? We got your question, girl. Okay. Will the alternative health help Nivra? Yes. Okay. How long before she should feel the full effects of the thing? It says it's pointing over the 8, which could mean 8 days or 8 weeks. I'm taking weeks, but is she showing appreciable improvement now? Oops, that hit the paper. Yeah, you already feel better by whatever it is you're feeling it. Okay, I'm going to hide you. And I know you're not a doctor. I wonder if doctors I visited. I don't know. I mean, I'm just straight up front with my doctors, and I just tell them I don't take chemicals. And when I pulled myself off everything they were imposing on me in my 60s, they about lost their crap. But I went to an herbalist and a healer, and I told her I've got $45 a month to invest in this. And she and I came up with a series of things that finally got rid of a lot of the stuff. And then I took it upon myself to lose 100 pounds, which helped a whole lot. Yeah, this is from Cold Toes. Cold Toes, I know she went through a whole lot of loss. Being gentle with yourself and others will always help, and that's true. And then, let me see. Hi, Easter hugs. Okay. What lessons did you come here to learn? Okay. I'm going to use an oracle deck for that has some good lessons in it. In case you guys haven't figured out, I don't have all the room in the world in my office, so I kind of have to stack things. Somebody also told me that was a symptomatic of someone who has ADHD, which I possibly always also do. This is Bradley Valentine's Archangel Michael's Sword of Life, and we're going to try and pull one lesson for you. The only problem with my garden is it doesn't like to stay put. Okay. Okay. Says you're ready for more. That may be the lesson you came here to learn. It's a beautiful card. She's sitting there hugging that big, looks like an nasturtium, I think. The lesson you pulled is you're in a place of personal power at this moment, even if you may not seem like that to you. This is a perfect time for you to make the changes in your career or to become self-employed. If you're seeking promotion or job somewhere else, this is time you get a high five from me to move forward. If you've been wanting to create your own business, the stars are aligned and you're ready. But plan carefully and wisely. Be strategic, and when you go about this transition, this is the moment that you've been waiting for to move forward and make your big changes. And I think that may be your life lesson that you're here to learn, is how to make changes that you feel you need to make for you and not be tied on dependence to other people. Sometimes it can be a bit of a transition. I feel like you were shocked when that came up, but it's a way that you can learn to take skills you have and turn them into something different, and some way that you can support yourself and feel more secure. Okay. Okay, let's see. Oh, where'd she go? Turn her off. And oh yeah, Elise is telling me in the chat that she takes medicine she takes for her stomach ulcers can cause osteoporosis. I have that. And it also affects her teeth. Yeah. The U.S. medical establishment was very slow to pick up on what the Australians figured out years ago, which is stomach ulcers are caused by a bacteria, and they can kill the bacteria, and then you just don't have them anymore. My husband went through that, so I know that about that one. But I'm not a doctor, so you got to go with whatever, or find a new doctor. Okay. Okay, looking. Oh, thank you, Cold Toes. And okay. And just yep, we all get through it eventually. Okay. Okay. Yuck. Yeah, I'd be looking for some new doctors. I mean, I can't tell you what to do, but if it was me, that's how I'd feel about it. But I'm not me, and I don't know where you live, and I don't know what's available to you. Okay. All right. We're done with questions. We're going to go to the rest of the stuff I want to talk about today. And I talk about a little bit of basic wisdom and it's easier to see it um, from uh, from the perspective. I'm going to talk about trees because I'm going to go out and visit Hogarth today and talk to him in the ley lines. And the ley lines are still hard for me to walk on, guys. I mean, there's so much energy coming up through the ground as they emerge right now. So this is this is from a woman named Judith McAllister, and she's visited trees all over the world. And I'll put up her book. I've read parts of her book. It's just really interesting. But we bring she asked the trees why they were here. And they said, we bring solace, comfort, relief. We anchor a peace that soothes the dissonance of the pace of the human life sows in your hearts and your souls. Drink deeply, little sister, replenish the well of deep love. And this was approaching a tree that wanted you to approach it. Now, these don't have to be trees that are like Hogarth that are covered with gnarls, gnarls and burls. This was just a tree, and I think this one came where she was in Brazil talking to a tree. And this is where her book is. It's at www.forestvoicesbooks.com. And she's an outgrowth of the Findhorn. You know the place I mean. She's an outgrowth of there. And she has the book's just full of beautiful things about immersing ourselves in nature right now. And like I said, the first thing I read was from a woman who wrote from Findhorn, Dorothy McLean, about going into the forces of nature and being with them and enjoying them and having a good time. And being with those trees is so lovely. And right now, all of nature is bursting out of its winter and into our spring and bringing forth that energy. And I love it I love it when the trees get the first green leaves and stuff on them. I'm not real hot about their pollen, but I like the trees. So, and we need them, and we need their shade, and we need their strength. And they really do give us a long-term pattern. When everything else has to bustle and move around so quickly, they don't. So I hope that for the people that I read today that are looking for solace and kindness, they'll go out and find a tree and talk to it. Now, don't miss Bathrobe Tarot, where he's going to be here this coming Thursday at 1:00. We're going to talk about, he's starting teaching the shamanic journey. He's not teaching you how to become a shaman. He's going to tell you how to create a shamanic journey so that you can go on in that with him. And Danny and I have talked about this before, and I find shamanism fascinating. It's another one of those things I don't do, but I really like it. I think it's an interesting idea, and I'm hoping you'll join Danny and I, and I'll post something up a day early so you can ask questions, and I'll see if I can entice him into reading some cards and stuff. And I'm going to continue. I know you saw that giant stack of books beside the garden. These are books and decks. They're decks created all different sorts of ways. If we got slow on questions today, because I didn't know how many people would be here, I was going to go through what's the difference between Tarot and Oracle, what's the difference between like the Wild Elemental and some of these other decks, and how to use them. And probably when I do that show is when I'm going to give away my old tarot deck. I don't know if anyone wants my old tarot deck, but I used to sell them through the vintage store that I worked at when they got worn out. They're worn out to me. When you bring them home and you love them and you treat them nice, they'll work just great for you. It's just it's like being too close for too long, and it's time to get out. But come and see Danny on Thursday. He's always a lot of fun. and I will. It's either on the 19th or 20th. I'll be on with Doesn't Cats. We're going to be doing past lives. So that's an hour, guys. I'll talk to you later. Bye bye.